Part 13. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 123. The light of the flashlight spread out and shone on the hideous corpses. While the fat man continued to mentally build himself up, he moved his steps and wandered among the corpses. When he saw that the collar on the corpse had not been removed, the fat man suddenly had an idea in his mind. If he could take the collar off the corpse and give it to the boss would be extremely happy. But before Fatty could get excited for a few seconds, he was in trouble again. Firstly, he didn't have the key, and secondly, he didn't have the uncanny strength of the boss. How could he get the collar off the corpse? The fat man was walking around when he saw a headless body of a man. He leaned over to take a closer look. Well, it's not headless. There is still a layer of skin and flesh attached to the corpse's head. The fat man squatted down lightly, looked at the headless corpse, and muttered in a low voice, "Sin, sin." Then, he found a broken wooden stick from somewhere and hit the corpse's head. A head rolled away with a whoosh. The corpse that originally had a trace of flesh and blood connected with the head really became a headless corpse. The fat man easily took off the collar from the neck of the headless corpse, and also pulled off the top of the headless corpse to wipe off the blood on the collar. The panel popped up and Fatty looked at the data. It still showed that the copy could not be taken out, but it could be put into the inventory. The fat man happily put it away in the inventory, already looking forward to the scene where the boss would praise him. When he thought of this, the fat man continued to search for the headless body with great courage. If the bodies are still a little short of being separated, the honest fat man said, "We can't separate them while alive, but I will help you separate them after you die." "You're welcome." It should. As for the whole corpses, at least the corpses whose heads had not yet been moved, Fatty had no choice but to take off all the collars now. If the prison workers who collected the corpses noticed something was wrong the next day, it would not be good at all. The fat man looked here and there, and as he became more and more proficient in hitting his head, his courage suddenly swelled, and he even dared to dig through the pile of corpses. The main reason is that the fat man has calmed down and is no longer timid. Fatty used to work as a salesman selling cemetery coffins, as well as various non-worldly occupations such as tomb keeper, corpse stitcher, corpse cremator, etc. The only two occupations that were not involved were tomb robbers and murderers, but the fat man could still bear it just by being in the same room with a corpse. After searching all the human corpses, Fatty regretfully found that he only got 16 collars. Why are there so few headless people? The fat man muttered dissatisfiedly. After searching the pile of human corpses, the fat man turned his attention to the pile of beast corpses. His eyes shone brightly, as if he saw a mountain of gold and jewelry everywhere, and he couldn't help but make a strange sound of hee 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 hee. For convenience, the fat man also took out a pair of plastic gloves from the inventory and put them on, and started digging through the corpse. Because the bones and body shapes of various beasts are different, the collars worn by the beasts are all specially made. The curious fat man touched the collar, and the panel popped up. He compared the collars given to humans and found that the data of the beast collars were generally higher. Are humans inferior to beasts? No, that means, it's worth more game currency. This discovery made Fatty so excited, and he turned over the corpse a little faster. But in general, the entire carcass of a beast is basically intact, with few heads and tails decapitated. The collars are also embedded in the flesh, making it difficult to pull them apart. When the fat man pushed away a tiger corpse again, he took a closer look and saw a corpse covered with thick black hair, long arms and legs, and resembling a chimpanzee. The fat man took a closer look, and the more he looked, the more something was wrong. The face of this chimpanzee, why did it look like a human face? No, that's not right, the fat man's expression was instantly horrified. Is this more like a man covered in chimpanzee body hair? Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 124. The fat man left. Sutingyu felt that she had to face this indisputable fact firmly. But after holding the bandage against Qin-Chi's disinfected right hand and gesticulating in distress for several minutes, Sutingyu began to miss Fatty. Qin-Chi looked at Sutingyu's wrinkled face and said, "I'll do it myself." "No, I can do it myself," Sutingyu said with confidence, and after a few more gestures, but with no results, her confidence suddenly disappeared, and she glanced at Qin-Chi sheepishly. "What do you want to do?" "Tai." "So," Qin-Chi said something, and Sutingyu followed suit. After stumbling like this for about 10 minutes, it was finally tied up. "It's a bit ugly, but at least it's not tied very loosely." Sutingyu was quite satisfied. Sutingyu took the cloth strip left by the fat man, wrung it out with wet water, and wiped Qin-Chi's face. There was a lot of residual snake blood on Qin-Chi's face. If he didn't wipe it off, it would be uncomfortable to keep it stuck like this. "Thank you." Qin-Chi took the wet cloth with his left hand and said softly. Sutingyu sat cross-legged, holding her chin with both hands. When she heard Qin-Chi's thanks, she tilted her head and blinked her big eyes with a smile. "Good friends, who of us is following whom you're welcome?" Qin-Chi lowered his head and glanced at the bandaged right hand, which looked like a big steamed bun. He said softly, Sutingyu blinked again. "Good friend, how did you manage to poke a snake? Can you tell me?" "Qin-Chi is very powerful." Sutingyu knew it from the beginning, but Qin-Chi didn't have her strange powers. While being restricted from using props, he stabbed directly into the body of the giant python with his hand. Even the sudden death of the giant python at the end was very shocking. Accident. The collar only restricts the player from using the props in the inventory. The player's 6 major attributes, the role of the title aura, and professional talents are not restricted. Seeing that Sutingyu finally couldn't help his curiosity and asked, Qin-Chi didn't hide anything. Sutingyu counted on his fingers and then asked, "What is the professional talent?" "She has the 6 major attributes and a lot of question marks, but she doesn't know if there are any players like her." Title Halo, if I remember correctly, she has 2, although at the moment, I don't see any use for them. As for the professional talent Qin-Chi mentioned last time, Sutingyu was a little confused. "Qin-Chi, do you know the copy of the token?" Sutingyu nodded. Players who enter the token dungeon, successfully pass the level and complete professional tasks, will be able to change jobs and be promoted to professional players. Each profession has different professional talents. Sometimes, even for the same profession, players' professional talents will be different. In addition, becoming a professional player, such as an assassin, a doctor, a driver, etc., can specify and bind an item that suits the profession. Not only can the level and ability of the item be improved, but the player himself can also use some of the items when the item is not used. Ability. Profession, professional player. Sutingyu had seen these common game words several times when browsing the forum, but there was too little key and useful information. Before that, he only knew their names. After listening to Qin-Chi's explanation, Sutingyu suddenly understood. Her eyes widened in surprise. "So, Qin-Chi, are you a professional player? Did you use your professional talent when killing the giant python?" Sutingyu rolled his eyes and stopped talking. Qin-Chi glanced at her. "What else do you want to ask?" He, I just wanted to ask." Seeing this, Sutingyu continued to ask with a smile, "Qin-Chi, what kind of professional duck are you?" That's it. Qin-Chi thought that Sutingyu was hesitant because he wanted to ask about something important. When it comes to trump cards, generally no one will tell others casually. But Qin-Chi stared at the girl in front of him and said calmly, "Slaying spirits and sword raiders. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck." Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 125. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. Killing spirits and raising swordsmen? Sutingyu noticed that the assassin, doctor, and driver mentioned by Qin-Chi were just professional titles without any modifiers in front of them. Qin-Chi has an ancient bronze sword, which should be the professional item bound to him. His profession should be swordsman. However, since Qin-Chi said slaying spirits and raising swordsmen, given his character, he definitely did not mean to make a joke or make a fuss. So, the profession Qin-Chi obtained is a bit special, different from ordinary professional players. Sutingyu once again realized how awesome Qin-Chi was, as one of the first batch of beta players. She hugged this thigh right. Qin-Chi, you sound so cool and awesome. If I want to get a career, how can I get the token that opens the token copy? Sutingyu rubbed her hands with excitement and curiosity on her face. Listen. Professional player. How awesome and classy she is, she also wants to have a career for fun. There will be a chance soon. Qin-Chi saw Sutingyu's little thoughts at a glance, with a helpless smile flashing in his eyes. The token will randomly appear in a certain dungeon, and in the event dungeon, basically, some tokens can appear. Hearing this, Sutingyu's eyes lit up. Wow! If she said that, then she would be even more looking forward to the event copy on June 1st. Qin-Chi, it's getting late. How about you rest first and I'll keep watch? Sutingyu saw that some slaves had fallen asleep and realized that it was getting late, so she said. Qin-Chi shook his head, I'll stay up until half the night, and you'll come in the second half of the night. When I come back in the morning, you can catch up on your sleep. Now that Fatty is not here, Qin-Chi is worried that Sutingyu will spend the whole night sleeping alone in the prison during the day. Oh well. Sutingyu could only think about Fatty silently for a moment, and then went to bed obediently. Copy Day 5, Morning. Qin-Chi went out as usual. Qin-Chi first went to the second underground floor and hid in a hidden corner. He saw several prison workers carrying the fat man's body onto a cart and then transporting it away. Qin-Chi took the stairs and reached the parking lot first. After a while, the cart carrying the body came out of the elevator. After the two prison guards finished loading the body, they drove out of the parking lot. After confirming that the fat man had left safely, Qin-Chi turned back. Qin-Chi came to the 9th floor underground, where the beasts were imprisoned. When he fought with the giant python last night, he felt a little weird. Unfortunately, he was in the beast fighting arena at that time and couldn't pay too much attention to it. From time to time, you can see some patrolling prison workers on the 9th floor. Qin-Chi is wearing a prison worker's work uniform and walks with his head slightly lowered, which does not attract too much attention. Even if he is recognized, this is the 9th floor and is still within the scope of activity. Qin-Chi walked back and forth several times on the 9th floor, but still found nothing. Could it be, is it my misunderstanding? Qin-Chi hesitated. Looking at the clock on the wall, it was almost time to go back. Qin-Chi hesitated for a moment, then returned along the original route, preparing to take the elevator back. When the elevator door was in front of him, Qin-Chi paused and his expression suddenly changed. After taking a few steps back, he turned around. It's wrong, the size of the space is wrong. The entire 9th floor space that Qin-Chi walked through was only 2/3 of the warehouse area on the 2nd floor at most. The space on the 10th floor where slaves are imprisoned seems to be smaller than the 9th floor. No. It should be that from top to bottom, the space on the underground floors that Qin-Chi has been to is gradually shrinking. This kind of reduction, if you only leave 1 or 2 floors, if you don't walk through it all, you won't notice anything wrong at all. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 126. Sutingyu yawned, rubbed his sleepy eyes with his hands, and then tried his best to open them wide. Why hasn't Qin-Chi come back yet? Sutingyu glanced at the elevator door again, but there was no movement. She turned her head and murmured in a low voice. Another day of missing Fatikuk. Sutingyu lowered his head, rubbed his eyes again, and then raised his head again. His eyes were red, as if he had not slept well and had cried. As for outsiders, that's it? Yet 11 watched for a long time and exchanged a look with Lao Wang next door. The former took steps and walked towards Sutingyu. Sutingyu was rubbing her sleepy eyes when she noticed the scent of a stranger approaching. She put down her hand and turned to look. When he saw the player Yesha, Wei Wei raised his eyebrows in surprise. Yeshi raised an approachable smiling face, showing no trace of the previous resentment. Seeing that Sutingyu noticed his approach, he stopped 3 meters away. A relatively safe and regulated distance sent the message, "I have no ill intentions," to Sutingyu. "What are you doing here? Is there something wrong?" Sutingyu asked. "Angel Su, let me introduce myself formally. My name is Yasha. I am a second batch of beta players. After clearing the previous dungeon, I have just upgraded to a LV4 player." Oh, Sutingyu's reaction was flat. LV4? Very awesome. She and Fatty were the third batch of players, both already at level 3, let alone Qin-Chi at level 6. Sutingyu subconsciously ignored that not everyone was lucky enough to trigger the hidden plot, and not everyone had the strength to complete the hidden mission and receive a large amount of rewards. For ordinary players, after one round of dungeon, it is considered good to have 50-100 experience points. An experienced player with some strength can earn a few hundred experience points by working hard in one round of dungeon without triggering the hidden plot. In addition, Sutingyu didn't know yet. The difficulty of the game copies in the first 2 months was generally lower. Although it would be easy to pass the level, the rewards obtained were relatively few. Seeing Sutingyu's attitude, Yesi's face froze for a moment. What happened? This Angel Su was not as shocked, frightened, and envious as he expected, and finally came over to please him. How could he answer the call? "I am a level 4 player, and I have some strength. It was just a misunderstanding before. We are all players. In this round of dungeons, we can work together to find a way to escape from the underground Colosseum." Sutingyu listened to the night talk and couldn't help but yawned again, feeling more and more sleepy. "Since we have the same goal, how about we cooperate to achieve a win-win situation?" Sutingyu held her chin with both hands and looked into the night with squinted eyes. "Tell me, how can we cooperate?" Before yet 11 could make a sound, Sutingyu muttered to himself again, but this time the voice was a bit louder. "The inventory is still restricted. No matter how awesome the level 4 is, it's already the 5th day and there is no escape out." Yezi's face froze again. This stinky bitch. Yet 11 kept recalling the scene of Qin-Chi killing the giant python in his mind, which suppressed the anger in his heart. "Angel Su, I come here with sincerity. As long as you cooperate with us and share information, the possibility of escaping from the underground Colosseum will be greater." Share information? After Sutingyu heard this, his heart suddenly became clear. It seems that he came here for Qin-Chi. Qin-Chi's privilege of being able to freely enter and exit the 10th floor, as well as his performance in killing the giant python last night, made Yesi and the others jealous and fearful. Now, is this considered seeking peace? Tell me something. After discussing with the editor, this book will not be reversed. When it is put on the shelves, fees will start. The previous chapters are free and will not become paid. I originally wanted to add more updates, but I'm not sure if I can advance, and I don't have many manuscripts saved. If I can advance to the second round, I'll add more updates. I received a lot of votes yesterday, and I am very happy. If you love me to watch the free chapters for a longer time, please read more, vote, and comment. Today is the last day of the PK round, so keep rushing. If you can advance, you can definitely stay free for longer. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 127. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes, looking confused and undecided. I'll wait for my friend to come back first, and we need to discuss it. Seeing that Sutingyu had listened, Yezi's expression relaxed slightly. If that's the case, then I won't bother you. After Sutingyu stared at the night and walked away, she turned back and glanced at the elevator door again, but there was no reaction. It's strange, it's almost time and Qin hasn't come back yet. At this time, Sutingyu's panel suddenly popped out. Please note. Your team member Qin triggers a hidden plot. Chris's secret. Hidden plot, Chris's secret. Background content, Chris, the noble, elegant, and warm-hearted leader of the underground Colosseum, enjoys a high reputation in the aristocratic circle. At the same time, he is also deeply respected and loved by the civilians and slaves of the Beast City. However, few people know that great the upright Chris has a secret, the other side hidden deep in the underground Colosseum, which is called Gluttonous Feast by the most elegant and elegant nobles. Hidden mission, find Chris's beloved pet key within 24 hours. Task conditions, evade Chris citywide capture before the copy ends. Sutingyu was confused. Hidden plot. Qin triggered a hidden plot. Sutingyu hurriedly read the information on the panel and quickly closed the panel. Despite this, a few players noticed that Sutingyu's panel had just popped up, and some prying eyes glanced over here. Fortunately, even if other players notice that Sutingyu's panel is open, they can only see a bunch of mosaics on it and have no way of knowing what's inside. Sutingyu held back her beating heart, her mind filled with curiosity and doubts. Did Qin discover anything during this trip? It actually triggered a hidden plot. Sutingyu did not miss the team members mentioned in the first sentence of the panel. The three of them entered the dungeon as a team. Could it be that one member triggered the hidden plot? The other team members would do the same regardless of whether they were present or not. Have a tip? So if Qin completes the hidden mission by herself, will she and Fatty still get rewards? Sutingyu took a sneak look around and saw that there was no abnormality in the remaining player panels, which just proved her first guess. Just as Sutingyu was thinking, a piercing alarm suddenly sounded in the prison. No. It should be that the entire underground Colosseum is blaring sirens. At this time, the elevator door opened and two prison workers walked out quickly. It's the two prison workers who deliver meals. It's not even lunchtime yet, so why are prison workers here? The player saw two prison workers with gloomy faces, and felt something was wrong. As soon as the prison workers arrived, they started counting people. Some slaves who were not in the cell but were still standing stupidly in the corridor were chased away by the prison guards with cold expressions. Those who were slower with their hands and feet were all whipped several times. Seeing this posture, all the slaves hurried back to their cells. Sutingyu rolled his eyes and saw that the prison armor vented some of his frustration after beating several slaves in succession, and his face seemed to calm down a bit. Sutingyu rubbed his eyes vigorously, then walked towards the prison armor with red eyes. Big brother, what happened? A slightly frightened and nervous cry trembled. The prison worker turned his head and saw a frail little girl with big red and watery eyes looking up at him pitifully. The two little hands in front of her were still tangled together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 128. The fierce-looking prison worker Jia recognized Sutingyu, and his expression softened unconsciously. Ever since Sutingyu kindly picked up the gold ring, Sutingyu would call Big Brother in a sweet and waxy voice every time the two prison workers came to deliver food. As a result, the two prison workers' favorability towards Sutingyu continued to increase, and now they can be considered friendly. Fortunately, these two prison workers had never been responsible for the logistics of the night's performance. In their minds, Sutingyu's character as a weak little girl had not yet collapsed. It's nothing serious, it's just that there was a thief in the underground coliseum, and we need to investigate the irrelevant persons. It wasn't something that needed to be kept secret, so the prison worker explained. Thief. Could it be Qin-Chi? No, even Qin-Chi's attitude towards her as a prison worker should not be exposed yet. Sutingyu's eyes rolled slightly and he said pitifully, "Brother, in order to give a wonderful performance to the noble gentleman last night, one of my brothers is gone. My last brother used Captain Chris. The gifted privilege went out to visit the underground coliseum. He wanted to come back and tell me stories, but he hasn't come back yet. He might have met a thief and been given to him by the thief, Weevyawoo." Sutingyu made the first impression and helped Qin-Chi rule out the suspicion of being a thief. This shouldn't be possible. When prison worker saw Sutingyu looking sad again, he couldn't help but comfort him. "It's just a little thief who came in, he will be caught soon, your brother won't. Something will happen." "Brother, can I go out and look for my brother? I'm very worried about him." Sutingyu blinked her big eyes, acting innocently and cutely. "What's wrong?" Another prison worker drove all the slaves in several cells in. After locking them, he came back and saw this scene. So Sutingyu performed pitifully in front of prison worker B again. The two prison guards had a good impression of Sutingyu. Ever since they chatted with Sutingyu when they had nothing to do, they would pick up gold on the ground from time to time. Sometimes when they went to the dressing room to change clothes, gold would fall out of their pockets. Of course, these were done by Sutingyu and three others. One provided the gold, the other gave hints to the prison workers while chatting, and the other used the time he went out in the morning to hide the gold in some hidden places. But the two prison workers didn't know. "I just thought it was Sutingyu's good luck." After hearing Sutingyu's pitiful words, the two prison workers hesitated. According to the rules, slaves are not allowed to move around freely, but they have a good impression of Sutingyu. Sutingyu observed the two prison workers and felt that something was interesting. He continued to encourage, "Big brothers, I will sneak out and come back immediately when I find my brother. I will not delay the work of the two big brothers. Otherwise, there will be one less person here." It's not easy for the two elder brothers to explain. The two prison workers looked at each other. There is indeed some trouble if there is one person missing here. If something happens to the slave, it will be difficult for them to explain. "Okay, hurry up. Come back as soon as you find someone." Sutingyu's eyes brightened and she smiled brightly. "Yeah, brothers Crab and Crab, you are really good people." After saying that, Sutingyu jumped into the elevator under the stunned gazes of all the players. Before getting on the elevator, she turned her head and waved innocently to the two good prison guards. After watching the elevator door close, the two prison workers thought more and more that something was wrong. It's not right. There was one person missing before, but now there are two people missing. It seems to be more troublesome and serious. How to deal with this? Also, what was tied to the little girl's legs seemed to be two medical kits. I was wrong, I forgot to update. Today, the results of PK will be released, please vote, but I feel that there is not much hope of promotion, there are too many big guys, just wait and see. The following is the list of thanks for the rewards and monthly tickets from 6.22 to 7.11, in no particular order. Some readers from external sites would like to express their gratitude here. In fact, it is a light stick, a flower field and the sea, Irai Awo, Yanyan, Suyul, Yefili, Bibai, it is music, March, spend hard money, Daoao picks up dreams, Liulayanyu, Emperor Bian, Wonkingsi missing old friends, Lizzie Hu. 8. Carrot Liangzi Carrot, 12181723612223, A Little Red Flower, Wamo, Chen Shn, Onochiko, I Want to Be Full, I Am Buffering 99%, Sand Sculptures Have Their Own Sand Sculptures, Night Sleeping Fairy, Emboss Yu Shinayu, Tangerines, Mountains, and Rivers, Eating Only Without Getting Fat, Momo. I would also like to thank the other cuties who voted for recommendations and made active comments. Okay. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 129. Persist in. Is the hardest thing. Walking alone in the long night, it is very cold and lonely. There is not a trace of warm fire, but it seems that there is a voice roaring in my ears. It will be the eve of dawn. Big Fish birth time, March 15, 2021. In February of this year, I was actually saving the manuscript for another work. At that time, I had no idea of writing UnlimitedFlow. In March, the work I was depositing fell into some bottlenecks that I could not break through for the time being, so I had to give up temporarily. I was a little confused for a while, not knowing what else to write. At that time, I had an author friend who planned to write about UnlimitedFlow in her new book. During that time, the three words UnlimitedFlow appeared more frequently. Therefore, I came up with the idea of writing an UnlimitedFlow novel. Publishing time, May 24, 2021. I am actually quite Buddhist about this book, and I thought it would be enough to get it on the shelves and earn perfect attendance, but I never expected that Big Fish, which I view with a Buddhist mentality, has surpassed my previous achievements in the new book period. On June 7, 2021, it was the 15th day since the book was released and the 8th day since the contract status had been changed. The total number of words was about 40,000, and it suddenly shot up to the 76th place on the new book list. In the middle of the game, although those who played Heartbeat fell off the rankings a few times, overall, the results were on the rise. Finally, when I finished the list, my best result was 31st. I was very satisfied without comparing myself to some big names. Before that, I had never even seen BNBN in the top 50 of the new book list. It is the first time that I have such good results in the new book list, and it is the first time that I can conduct a PK. I am really grateful to the editor for giving me the opportunity to PK, and I am also very grateful to all the lovely readers. These results are all due to you. Release time, July 13, 2021. PK lost, just a little bit, but I finally came to the shelf link that I had been thinking about the most before I started publishing the book, because the shelf means that my efforts from March to July can get some small rewards, and I can earn website perfect attendance award. If the little cuties like this book, and conditions permit, I hope you can place an initial order or full order on the same day. Please support me. Within 30 days after being put on the shelves, you can hit the bestseller list. Don't post articles yet, little cuties. Every day's subscription performance is related to whether you can be on the list. If the results are better, I will also be motivated to code, right? So if you want to raise the text, you should wait for a month before raising it. On the day it was released, the number of words was updated, minimum guaranteed 10,000, maximum cap 20,000. Update time on the day of release. Updates will start after 24:30, there may be a delay. Number of words updated after launch, 4 updates per day as usual, and will be notified in special circumstances. Update time after launch, 0 o'clock, fixed update time, or 18-24 p.m., non-fixed update time. About adding updates. 1. The first one to be put on the shelves requires monthly votes to advance to the potential list. If there are enough manuscripts in stock, if the number of monthly votes in July reaches 50, 2 chapters will be added. There is no cap. Hee, if you have the ability, use monthly votes to kill it. Me. It's only for this month for now, and we'll talk about it next month. 2. As for whether the rewards will be updated, I won't say more. If some wealthy person really rewards too much, will I update the rewards? Anyway, it depends on the situation. If possible, there will be additional updates. 3. If the average monthly subscription is greater than or equal to 500, there will be 3 to 10 additional chapters next month. The specific number of additional chapters will depend on the situation. As for me, I have disabled hands and am slow at coding. I am not a talented writer. I can code a chapter in 2 hours, which is pretty good. Sometimes it may take 4 or even 6 hours to write a chapter, and I will intermittently write a chapter. Closed, no passion. I came here for perfect attendance from the beginning. After all, I am a newbie and not very popular. If my grades are too low, I will eat up the perfect attendance award for the first 3 months. At least I can get something in return, because there is no subscription requirement in the first 3 months. 4 can get perfect attendance. As for the fate of this book after 3 months, it will depend on the subscription situation, because the website has regulations that starting from the 4th month of publication, the average subscription must be greater than or equal to 500 to receive a perfect attendance award. Therefore, subscriptions are very important to me. If I can get more than 500 average subscriptions, I will have the motivation to continue working hard. It will be on the shelves at midnight tonight. Excitement, anxiety, fear, anticipation, it is impossible to say without these emotions. However, whether it is good or bad, we need to face it calmly. Once again, thank you to all the lovely readers who have become friends with this book. Thank you for accompanying me through this journey of dozens of days. Tomorrow, a new journey is about to begin, and I hope there is still someone to accompany me on this journey. If this is a journey, I hope it will never end. If this is a sweet dream, I hope I will never wake up. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 130. After the elevator door closed, the joy on Sutingyu's face immediately faded, and her eyes stared at the elevator floor button. Which floor will Qin-Chi be on? Sutingyu's eyes slowly moved down, landing on the 11th layer of buttons at the bottom. Reach out and press. No response. Sutingyu's expression paused. Can't this elevator go to the 11th floor? The 11th floor is really weird. Sutingyu thought for a moment and clicked the button on the 9th floor. He couldn't stay on the 10th floor forever. What if the 2 prison workers reacted and she ran away immediately? Or should we fight decisively? As the elevator went up, Sutingyu waited for the elevator to stop, opened the door, and immediately slipped out. Sutingyu had never been to the 9th floor. He only heard Qin-Chi give a rough route map, and then hid quickly when he saw other prison workers. It's impossible that we can't go to the 11th floor. Qin-Chi saw Chris taking the elevator to the 11th floor before. Could it be a different elevator? The more Sutingyu thought about it, the more it seemed possible, and he started looking for a second elevator on the 9th floor. She actually found a few of them. In such a huge underground coliseum, it was impossible to use only one elevator to travel up and down. But Sutingyu tried all the elevators one after another, but couldn't press the button on the 11th floor, and there was no response at all. Strange. Sutingyu spotted a staircase to take, then looked left and right to make sure there was no one, then ran towards the stairs. Wow, how long has it been since the staircase has been cleaned? Sutingyu walked down the stairs, only to encounter a wall. Sutingyu frowned. Wait a minute, I came down from the 9th floor, there are no stairs on the 10th floor, and there are no stairs on the 11th floor. Sutingyu walked up again, passing the 8th and 7th floors, and finally stopped at the exit of the stairs on the 6th floor. No, the distance between the stairs on the floor is wrong, the height of the stairs is wrong. Sutingyu turned around and ran down to the 9th floor again. After going back and forth several times, he finally determined that the heights of the stairs on these floors were really different based on the feeling of his body. Generally speaking, each floor is built to the same height, as are the stairs. But now, Sutingyu discovered that the height of the stairs below the 9th floor was lower than those on the 8th, 7th, and 6th floors. Or conversely, the 8th, 7th, and 6th floors are much higher than the 9th and 10th floors. Sutingyu also walked all the stairs above the 5th floor. The stairs above were all normal and there were no problems. Maybe the difference was too small for her to feel. The only thing that can be confirmed is that there is a problem with the stairs on the lower floors. Sutingyu walked out of the stairs and went to each floor one after another. He roughly measured the distance between the floor and ceiling of each floor with his eyes. They were basically the same. So where did the missing stair height go? The 11th floor, the 11th floor. On the stairs, Sutingyu suddenly slapped her forehead, with an annoyed look on her face. I have fallen into subjective thinking. Maybe there has never been an 11th floor. Maybe Qin-Chi saw Chris going to the 11th floor with his own eyes, but it was just a cover-up. Qin-Chi came out to explore the layout of the underground coliseum. In order to facilitate and save time, he usually took the elevator. Therefore, he missed the strange separation of the stairs on the bottom few floors. No one has cleaned the stairs in the underground coliseum. They are all dirty and messy. There are no lights installed and it is dark. There are more convenient elevators and no one would choose to take the stairs. Sutingyu grabbed the collar around his neck with both hands and broke it hard, breaking it into 2 pieces. Putting the collar into the inventory, Sutingyu took out the stone tablet. Big Hui, come out. A cloud of black smoke emerged from the stone tablet, and Hui stretched out, Master, what's going on? Recover your soul body, crawl into the wall, and find the hidden space inside. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 131. Dark and damp mezzanine space. A drainage channel 6 to 7 meters wide lies in front of Qin-Chi. There is a small semicircular doorway on the other wall of the drainage channel. Gilug, gilug, gilug. Bubbles floated in the center of the dark and dirty water. Then, a shadow appeared in the water. Qin-Chi stared at it for a few seconds. The area of the shadow was getting larger and larger, as if something was about to come out. Qin-Chi frowned and stepped back a few meters. Water splashes several meters high rose up, and shadows emerged from the water and fell on the wall. A huge figure appeared in front of Qin-Chi. Under its soft and round body, which resembles a funnel, there are 8 thick and long arms. Each arm is covered with dense suckers, and there is a circle of inconspicuous sharp gears around the suckers. The gradient skin has a turbid color like the smelly water, with some garbage in the smelly water stuck to it. The round body bulged and shrank, rising and falling, covering the entire small semicircular doorway. There were 2 black bean-like eyes at the bottom edge of the forehead staring at Qin-Chi coldly. Qin-Chi stared at the octopus monster in front of him, his eyes falling on the latter's forehead, the large collar that had been embedded in his body. He said calmly. Want to take revenge? Want to get out of control? Or do you want to keep working for Chris, and wait until one day when you are injured, disabled, or dead, even the body will be carried to the dining table and become a delicacy in the mouths of those nobles? There was a hint of negotiation in his bewitching tone, as if the person in front of him was not an inhumane octopus monster, but a person. The octopus monster clinging to the wall suddenly roared, and its 8 long and thick arms swept across everything around it, seeming to be venting some suppressed hatred. The violent destructive power of the octopus monster caused the wall to tremble violently and the water waves to roll. Qin-Chi stood in the distance with deep eyes, quietly waiting for the octopus monster to make a choice. After the octopus monster finished venting his anger, he finally calmed down and took a deep look at Qin-Chi, then slowly moved his body to reveal the small doorway on the wall. The passage inside this door is narrow, large enough for an adult to pass through at most. With the huge body of the octopus monster, it is impossible to squeeze in. The octopus monster is locked up in this place where it never sees the light of day all year round. With the hatred and fear in his heart, he is responsible for guarding this door. Some octopuses can secrete a super strong toxin that can kill people. For safety reasons, Qin-Chi waited for the octopus monster to retreat to a farther distance before setting off. For ordinary people, the 6 to 7 meters wide drainage channel can only be swam across or ride on tools. Qin-Chi evaluated it secretly and felt confident. Instead of asking for help from the octopus monster, he started running in 3 or 2 steps and jumped up when he was less than 1 meter away from the water's edge. Under the moving eyes of the octopus monster, he jumped directly over the drainage channel, and finally landed firmly. Qin-Chi kept vigilantly watching the octopus monster's every move from the corner of his eye to prevent it from suddenly attacking. Until he approached the edge of the door and was only 1 step away from entering, the octopus monster remained indifferent. Seeing this, Qin-Chi no longer hesitated and stepped into the door. After Qin-Chi left, the octopus monster slowly sank to the bottom of the water and disappeared without a trace. At the end of the passage is a secret room. In the secret room, there are all kinds of basic daily necessities, like a small study room. Qin-Chi began to rummage through boxes and cabinets, looking for the pet key in the hidden mission. At this time, Qin-Chi heard a strange noise in his ears and turned to look at the wall on the left. Bang, bang, bang. It's not Qin-Chi's illusion. The strange sound is a bit like the sound of digging, and it is getting clearer and closer. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 132. Boom. A large piece of the wall suddenly cracked, debris flew everywhere, and several thick vines appeared inexplicably and squeezed into the secret room. As the dust rolled in, the vines shrank back, and several strange white flowers swayed their buds above their heads, opened their forked flower roots below, and jumped off the ground. Cough cough cough. A petite figure jumped out. Qin-Chi looked slightly startled. He stared at the figure and felt a little familiar. Qin-Chi. A cry of surprise rang out, the dust dispersed, and Qin-Chi saw Sutingyu looking at him happily with big watery eyes on his face and a grey face. Qin-Chi suddenly became speechless. Sutingyu trotted over in a bounding motion, with big dust floating behind him and a few small broken flowers at his feet. Qin-Chi. I'm here to find you. Sutingyu ran over with her little face raised. Seeing Qin-Chi's surprised look, she couldn't help showing a proud expression. How did you find it? Qin-Chi couldn't help laughing when he saw that Sutingyu's fair and tender face was now grey and black, stained with some dust and mud. He Sutingyu said with a proud look of begging for praise and praise, it was the 2 good prison workers who asked me to come out. As soon as I went out and walked up the stairs, I noticed the 3rd level of the underground coliseum. There is a problem on the 11th floor. Then let Big Gray find hidden spaces and weak points in the wall, while Little Broken Flower and the others are responsible for digging holes. A smile flashed in Qin-Chi's eyes. Well, it's awesome. Hey Sutingyu accepted Qin-Chi's praise with satisfaction, then turned around and looked left and right. Qin-Chi, where are we? Although Sutingyu could find this hidden space, he could get less information than Qin-Chi, so he was still a little confused. Qin-Chi explained, this should be the secret room set up by Chris. While Chris is not here, let's find the pet key first. Oh. With that said, the 2 of them split up to look for the pet key, and Da Hui and Little Qinhua also joined in to look for it. By the way, Qin-Chi, the alarm went off outside. They said there was a burglar. It couldn't be you. Sutingyu asked while searching. Qin-Chi rummaged through the desk drawer and replied, yes and no. Huh? What do you mean? I used a little trick to attract the attention of the NPC, but I haven't revealed my true intention yet. Oh. With the convenience of his sole body, Dewey walked unscrupulously between all the furnishings in the secret room, and was the first to make the discovery. Dewey quickly claimed the credit. "Master, what you are looking for seems to be here." Sutingyu and Qin Chi turned to look at Dewey at the same time, who was floating on the empty floor and pointed at a tile below with one paw. Seeing this, the two walked over. "Little Kanhua, it's time to work," Sutingyu shouted. "Bata, bata, bata." The little broken flowers trotted over with their foot flower roots, and then extended two rat hands, got into the seams of the tiles, and lifted the entire tiles. Under the tiles, there was a square groove with a tin box inside. Sutingyu squatted down and dug out the box with his fingers. Seeing that there was a lock on the tin box, Sutingyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Then, a heart-wrenching sound sounded. Dewey suddenly covered his face in horror. The little broken flowers huddled together and shivered. I saw that the iron box was twisted into twists in Sutingyu's hands. After the force was too great, the iron box in the middle cracked and shattered into pieces. A key fell out of the box.